Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good morning. Okay, it's an honor today to have Ms. Karen. Karen is currently a director of the Foundry Sunway Innovation Lab, Ilabs. Is it? Okay, yeah. Alright. So I will introduce a little bit about Karen. So, which are 360-degree experience in the research, commercialization, and corporate venture. Karen works closely with the people of all levels, such as students, academicians, startup entrepreneurs, corporates on building partnership and driving collaboration through an open innovation ecosystem, turning idea into commercially successful product and company. Before joining Sunway Ilab in 2018, Karen spent more than 10 years in the customer health industry with leading roles in R&D and commercializations. Her research portfolio was acquired by the UK pharma company for Euro 140 million in 2013. Karen started her journey in corporate venture capital. She lies mainly with the TTO office, the Technology Transfer Office, of various universities across the global for innovation, scouting and licensing, as well as dealing with the cutting-edge startup for seed-stage venture investment. Very interesting journey, and I believe that what you will share with us today will be give some idea and motivation to our researcher to come out with the to design the journey in the commercializations. So let me start with the simple questions first. Maybe Karen can share with us how initially, what is the starter point? You change from the academicians, from the research into the commercializations. What is the motivation actually as an initial start?
Well, thank you for having me today. I'm not very sorry for sending you a very long profile. I always love small groups. It's allowed me to share whatever I know and to learn from you in a very intimate way. Allow me to be very transparent and to really share what I know, rather than in a big government forums that I have to control myself to make sure that I don't cross the line. I started my career really as a very serious researcher, just like most of you, chasing different publications, IP. What's really different is the organization itself. It's a biotech startup in Europe. And whatever the researchers did that time was really, it's very commercial driven. So we don't start with just literature research. We really start looking into the IP landscape to understand what are the opportunities. We look into the markets. We do very thorough market research. And then we try to find, these are the real opportunities, and these are the trends in the next 3 to 5 years. Because we know in any pharma research, it takes about 3 years to complete the entire research project. So we make some predictions. It's very data-driven. And coming back to the questions, I think after spending about 6-7 years in the research field, I've been going through from early drug discovery all the way to phase 3 clinical trial. It's also because of the opportunities at that time. The entire research portfolio was acquired by UK pharma companies. That means we got a lot of money out of savings for the startup itself. We are quite rich. At the same time, we have nothing to sell. And in order to feed everyone in the companies, which means we have to look for alternative revenue that can really come in fast. Because anything, if you are working in any life science industry, you know that it takes more than 3 years to come up with a finished product, all the way from compound research. So we took part of the fund. I was given the opportunity, asking my CEO asked me that time, hey, you have been a researcher for 6 years and have been going through the entire drugs development journey. Do you want to change your field into business development or marketing? Then I look at my CEO, I was like, right, Thomas, what do you want me to do, right? I'm a researcher, I don't speak marketing or business development language. But to my CEO at that time, he said, as long as you want to learn, you can pick up the skill. So I ventured into business development and marketing for around 2 years to help the UK pharma who acquire our technology, to help them to do the market penetrations, to really make sure that they're able to go through the regulatory barrier. Then in, I think around 2012, no, I think around 2010, we set out a corporate venture out. That's when we started to make investments into different biotech startups across the world. We didn't make any in Malaysia, unfortunately. And at the same time, I also liaised with a lot of tech transfer office to really scout the innovations developed by the university to repackage them for commercializations. So I think a lot of times if you ask me these questions, I have no idea how I changed my career. It's, when the opportunity comes, I just walk up. So to me, it's like, if there are new opportunities for you to change the field, I'm not very gung-ho with my career that I must be a scientist forever. So when there are new opportunities, okay, let's try it and see, let's explore. That's also made me not a specialist now. I'm probably a generalist that, you know, I have a little bit of experience in research and commercializations and all the way right now in making investments.
Alright, so when you said that at UK you have lots of money, right? So you've got lots of funds but no product, right? So I think you have in your minds at that time what is actually related funds available in maybe in that time is during at UK, but now at Malaysia, if the opportunity to link the business with the fund, what type of fund available for the commercialization, especially on the startup? How easy is it to secure the funds, and any suggestions or tips from you?
I think first of all, we cannot compare the tickets that we have back in 2010 and now. I see that the investment appetite across the world is reducing. That's number one. Number two, we cannot compare ourselves with the European or the Silicon Valley investors. We always benchmark, so we always refer to the startup investment in Silicon Valley. Say, you know, those guys, I don't mind with them, they have lots of money, right? And Malaysia investment appetite is very small. We are like, the amount we invest in startups before the pandemic is just 25% of what Singapore has been invested in startups, and 10% of Indonesia. We have investors here who are not risk takers. So I think these two we have to consider. We have been reading a lot of articles from the Silicon Valleys. We have to come back to Malaysia and to have a little bit of sentiments on how the local markets behave. For the funding opportunities, I think that depends really on your inventions or your maturities of your research. If you're someone at ideation stage and you probably think that, hey, you know, my idea can work. Usually, we call it pre-seed for ideations. You just come up with the ideas, you know, oh, okay, this idea can work, you know, there's no validations, nothing. You probably need some funding to go to a lab or, you know, to buy some materials to develop prototypes. And this is the time where, if you ask me, government grants is very straightforward. So you just apply for it and tell the questions and see whether you get it or not. If you can't get it, you go for the 3F. I'm not sure how many of you know about the 3F. 3F typically you refer to your friends. You get money from your friends. You get money from the family. Right? That considers your own family, your own money as well. Another one is food. So 3F, your friends, your family, and foods. Because who are the one who has such a high risk, the risk takers who really put money in your own pockets during ideation stage. And the fund size at this stage is typically about 10 to 50,000. And this is the comfortable amount that you can fundraise within your family or friends or the food. So after that, you got the money, you want to develop your ideas, you do a little bit of validations, you have the MVP already that time. And you are able to probably do a little bit of pilots with the consumers to gauge the feedback. And we call that seed stage. And you're more than ready to raise for higher amount, which is like typically the fund size is about 100,000 ringgit to 250,000 ringgit. You can look for the 3F still. It's like my experience a lot of time, you know, sometimes Chinese New Year is very difficult or Hari Raya is very difficult for some of the entrepreneurs. because they get money from the family members. And then during Hari Raya, they also, oh, Selamat Hari Raya, hey, how's your business? Oh no, I'm losing money. So it's pro and cons lah. Then you can also, during the 6th stage, you can also go to angel investors. And those are the people who exited from the company, that make some profit, and they are more than willing to recycle their money and make it into new investments. Some corporates, some way Ilabs, we do make small investment into the 6-stage startups. So it depends really on your maturities. When your company is getting tractions, you are making revenue. When I say revenue, it's not profits, because you might still be making loss, but you are getting a lot of tractions, you are making revenue. You go to Series A, and that's where you can start approaching the corporates, investor, the CVC, corporate venture out. You can start approaching the venture capital firm. We have about 20-25 here in Malaysia, Gobi, Ficus, there's quite a number of them. And when your company is on good tractions, it's growing rapidly, and you already see that you have the plan to go beyond Malaysia. For example, Custom, right? It started with Malaysia as a base, but right now they have already penetrated to Thailand, to Indonesia, and that's when you approach the corporate ventures. Corporate is very happy to put money. Private equity is very happy to put money when they see that your startup is penetrating into other markets. Another one is investment bank, like Mizuho Bank. They are, because banks are not risk takers, when they see that you are making money, you are expanding, they put investments. So it depends on your maturity of your startups.
Generally, from the experience startups, so initial stage of the start is very difficult, right? Because they lack of the cash flow and something like asset also on. So any advice in terms of the fundraising for the new startup?
I think advice is, there's no, I don't have a Bible for this. It's really needs to be customized. My key advice is when you have an idea, then you develop a prototype. Don't be too stubborn on your prototype. Don't be a perfectionist. A lot of us, I was a researcher. I always think that I must do something that is really perfect before I show to someone, before I present to someone. Because, when I was a researcher, I don't really take criticism. When somebody criticized me, I was like, what the hell is this? And you don't understand my research, you are just a commercial people. What are you? I fight a lot with marketing people. Because I just simply think that they don't understand researcher language. And the marketing people is like, you're a researcher, I'm thinking too much. So I took a step back and I was trying to ask, so what do you want to hear from the researchers, right? What do you know? You just prove to us that it's working, and you help us to visualize the benefit. And that's something that I learned from my experience. No need to develop something that is super perfect. Because perfection is subjective. It's very subjective. Something that is perfect to you doesn't mean it's perfect to others. And it's an endless cycle. As long as it can prove, you show to someone, it's good to go. So that's my biggest advice. And I see a lot of startups in one of the startup Miro. You can just Google them. It's literally a mirror that allows you to put at home, and you can do exercise in front of the mirror. You can follow the movement. It's just like the real instructor in front of you. At the same time, you can see yourself right on the screen, and it shows the analytics whether you are moving correctly or not. These startups is gaining a lot of tractions. When they show the prototype to the investors, they just put a mirror and the TV behind the mirror. They just help the investors to visualize that this is how it works, this is how it adds values to the consumer, and then they get money in. So it was a lesson to us as well. So don't be, it's like, for example, if there are software, you are developing an apps, right? Go with the PHP version first. Don't try to spend a lot of money on mobile app. You just want to make sure that the consumer loves it. Because the more you work on it, the more resources, the more money you are spending.
So on top of the visibility of the, it's not visibility, it's that the product is acceptable. Okay, is it any criteria that researcher need to consider to put during pitching or during the presenting the idea to the investor or angel investor or whatsoever?
Yes. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. This is typically what I see from the TTO office. A lot of time when we speak to the different TTO officers across different universities, there is always the same observations. Corporates doesn't want to go with the universities. They don't want to take the product for commercializations. So this is the voice from the university. At the same time, if you ask the corporates, something is really, there's a gap in between. The university developed products without really understanding the user needs. And you want to sell this to the corporates, it's a little bit too late already. So my preference is always, sometimes especially deep tech, co-creates with the corporates from the very beginning, because they are the people who can provide you the market insight. So this is, on one part, it's important to really understand your consumer needs. You have to do a lot of validations. When you put your investor typically look into 4 things for your pitch deck. Number 1 is the founders. It's not very healthy to put a bunch of scientists together. It's really not healthy. What investors want to look for the pitch deck is a diverse skill set, people that complementary each others. You have the business people, you have the marketing people, tech people, scientifics. They want to see this kind of combinations. They don't want to see a bunch of scientists together. So when investors see a bunch of scientists together, they're like, oh wow, am I going to make this true? Can I talk to them or not? Second thing is, investors look for the people attributes, founders who are coachable. Because you can imagine investors put their money in. We fail together, we celebrate success together. So there will be constant communications. And they want to make sure that the founders are coachable, they are able to work together, there's chemistry in between. So that's the people part. You go to the second one that the investors really emphasize is, are you innovate better than the existing products? Are you adding values to the consumers? Do you have a competition's advantage? So this is a key criteria. I can guarantee you, 10 out of 10 of the startup pitches, the investors ask, so what is the differentiation? It's a very frustrating question for the founders, but this is so true. Number 3 is definitely the market size. You can't, you need to prove that how you are going to conquer the Malaysian markets. But how big is the Malaysian market, right? It's like 32 million of populations. Compared to Thailand, compared to Vietnam, compared to Indonesia. So we have to show that, okay, I'm going to start with Klang Valley and then Penang, Johor, and the entire Malaysia. But what's next? Because even if you manage to capture Malaysia, it's still so small. It's like kacang, it's like really like kacang putih like that. It's so small. So the market size you have to think about how whether or not your product is like something that can go beyond Malaysia. And the last one, in order to persuade the investors in your pitch deck, you have to show metrics, your growth metrics. How are you going to grow the business? What's your future plans? If you're asking for 500,000 right now, how are you going to use the money? For what purpose? And what's your milestones? If you can put these 4 criteria, I think you have something that you can beat the heart of the investors. This is the 4 things that I will look into any people who pitch their ideas to.
It means that more towards, in order to fund, to secure the fund from the other partners, so you have to come out with a complete geometry, more towards on the business, marketing, or it's not marketing, it's more towards analysis, right? So how that the analysis need to be provided to the investor. So actually, what is the until completing market analysis or any from the suggestions?
This is a very tricky question. Researcher, being the researchers, we like to show data. We like to show a lot of, these reports from the World Bank say this, say this, say this. We put everything on the slide, and then the investor will be like, what are you trying to say? I did the same mistake as well. Are you trying to say that, okay, good, you have done a lot of homework, but what's the key messages? I did the same mistake because I was a researcher. So I found prevalence, how this disease has been increased from year 1990s to 2020s. I thought it's good to really show that I did my homework, correct or not?
Yeah, right.
Then the investor is like, different responses. Then, it's true, what's your key messages? Then I learned from the mistakes, you can do a lot of market research. You can do that, but keep that as your bullet. So you put one slide, just the key summaries, to really show the messages. And typically you have only 7 to 10 minutes to pitch your startups to any investors. So you just put the key messages on one slide, just one slide. And during the Q&A, if the investor is really keen, then you have bullets to show them. You see, I've done so many homework. You ask me questions, I can answer. Then that will be it's very persuasive to them. You really show that this founder, they know the market well, they did their homework. So that gives the impressions, just put one slide, but keep your bullets.
Okay, so I believe that is the strategy and tips for to attract the investor. So let's move into in your opinion, looking into the current situations, the business is very challenging with the unstable economic growth. So, in your opinion, which one is most preferable? Running business independently or raising a fund from the venture capital or so on?
Then you have to check your bank account first. If you have money to run the business by yourself, you don't need to raise any funding. This will be the super quick answers. But at the same time, it depends on what type of business you are running. If you are talking about FMCGs, opening for example, F&B, it's best to start with your own money because it's quite low risk. And if you are talking about the tax, low risk tech like SaaS, just mobile apps or whatever is that, you can come up with the startups. You can look for angel investors, you can look for venture capitalists. If you are working on the deep tech, it takes years to commercialize. You need a lot of support to do the animal studies, to do the clinical trial. You probably want to think about who creates the solutions with the corporates from the very beginning and work with them for commercializations. So this would be I don't think there's a standard answers. But the standard answer is look into how to do this own pocket first.
So in terms of the engagement with the company, how should we start to attach or engage with maybe one company to working together? And what is the best practice in order to offer our product or service, something like that?
How many of you have LinkedIn? Well, you can add me. I think nowadays, when I was in the conference, handling the industry university collaborations, I checked a lot on the researchers' LinkedIn profiles. That's number one. Number two, the corporates typically will go around the researcher publications to check the background. But the funny thing is, I see, it's like the hands that they show you is like half of you. So Malaysian researchers, we are very humble. We are overly humble. We don't really showcase what we are doing, what are the good things that we are doing. And I think that should be a better, we should better market ourselves. We don't show on the social media posts to really tell that, hey, I'm going to talk to in this academic conference, my manuscript has been accepted, this is my publications. You don't do that because it doesn't attract the interest of the corporates. What you need to do is perhaps like a quick shorts video to really tell them, I'm working on this. This is how you're going to add values to the markets. The videos will help attracting their attentions. Like it or not, we have 15-second generations now. TikTok. If you can summarize your research, the benefits of your research in 15 seconds, put it on the LinkedIn, you help to promote yourself, you help to market yourself, you let people know that, hey, this perhaps Dr. Hartley is from Uitm in these areas. That stand out first. The second thing is to engage with corporates. Corporates typically, they don't go to academic conferences. They don't go to academic conferences. They attend trade shows. And trade show is where you should go, you should attend, and start building your relationship first. Working with a corporate is not like I meet you one time and then I can, you give me a project, you can be my project sponsor. But you have to start building a relationship. Meet this guy in the corporates, sit down, go out with coffee with them, multiple times, and then you just have to understand what are the pain points that they are facing. And then you only, after that, it's like getting a jodoh, right? You have to, I always refer to it, get a jodoh, you have to refer to, if you really like a girl, then you have to invite for a movie or whatsoever. It's the same thing. But I think what's missing in any university, we always work in, it's very silo. TTO is TTO. You have another department handle, perhaps graduates and employabilities, career services. But if we can merge all these entities together, imagine the TTO are able to access all the companies. Although in HR, they are able to connect you to the R&D. You build your own ecosystems rather than putting yourself in silo. I mean, how many people in TTO on this, right? But you have in all university, you have a large pool of industry, a large pool of corporates, and these are the people who hire your students. You are able to match, you are able to know, and this is really like true connections. So I think there's a lot of small little things that we can do really there's different ways to really get attention from corporates and start building the relationships.
So I believe we have the relationship with the industry, but how we ensure that that company is the correct one, because some of the company is they say I don't is batu or something like that. It's very tricky actually to find a suitable company. Any advice from you?
Corporate people's, I would say it's tricky. It has to start, you have to start comfortable talking to them. I mean, there's a lot of relationship with the corporates. If you go straight, I have to be very honest with you, I'm in corporates right now, right? If you go straight to corporates right now, hey, what's your problem? I don't know. If you ask, is this your challenge? No, they'll come to you. Dr. Faslina, this is my challenge. Then when you look into them, hey, this one, you just work with any existing vendor, why do you really need to develop? Actually, corporates, they are not clear with the problem statements at all. And if you look through the corporates when you speak to them, their challenge statement is very incremental. It's very incremental. They're like, my competitor has this product, I want to be better than them, but they don't think about what is 3 to 5 years ahead. How can the company be a game changer? But in university, we have good expertise who can provide long-term horizontal 2 or 3 innovations to them. So you've got to find a sweet spot in between. If you can't find a sweet spot in between, then it's very hard for you to get the conversations going. But I think one tips for everyone is don't give up talking to the corporates. Today they slam the door, they don't want to talk to you. Tomorrow they resign already, you talk to another one. I think one of the experience that we have is, when we match startups with the corporates, this guy from the corporate is like super atas. Startups, can or not? My company is the biggest conglomerates in the Philippines now. You all come in and put this technology. What if the whole building, the electricity is cut and blah, 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 blah. A lot of, it's quite reluctant now. So, we say, okay lah, never mind lah, we pitch to you, so we get a feedback, thank you very much. And I think 1 year later, we know that this guy already resigned. So, there's another new guy. We pitch to the new guy again, and then the new guy said, oh, this is a good solution, let's do it, let's run the pilot. So the lessons that we get is corporate people come and go. So as long as entrepreneurs always has the corporate spirit. If you want to, I'm so sorry for those who really talk to the past, right? But entrepreneur is really like cockroach. You hit them multiple times, they have way to, just trying to avoid you. So that's the same way for you to deal with the corporates. Today they say no. You wouldn't know tomorrow the markets change, you come back to them, they will say yes. When the people resign, you come back to them, you say yes. But the most important thing is always to keep the relationship and get back to them. When they say no, don't take rejection as the real rejection. Be a little bit resilient.
Alright, so it means that on top of that, you also need to engage not only for one person. So another backup from the same company, you have to also create collaborations with another person, right?
Yeah. Actually, I miss someone. It also depends on what are the technologies. Malaysia industry, we are very weird. We have a lot of manufacturing companies, we have a lot of servicing companies, we have a lot of retail companies. And the MNC, usually they get the research directions from the office overseas. So, which means the R&D here is atas perintah. So they just follow the instructions and they don't deal with the local universities to curate their own research portfolio. And this is a very unfortunate, which means we are importing a lot of IP. And when we create IP in the university, the government has been telling us you should commercialize. Hey, hello, commercialize apa when your industry is not ready. You go to Intel, they are manufacturing, they take the instructions from Intel in the US. Innovations, Apple design in California, manufacture in China. So Malaysia, we have the same thing. Our industry is not ready to absorb, especially a lot of deep tech IP. So when you speak to the company, you have to also see whether or not the R&D team or the innovation team is empowered to make decisions to develop the IP here locally. If not, it's really waste of time. So you have to do some background search of the companies. Yeah, GSK and Novartis, you have Pfizer, you have even Huawei, you have Google Cloud. And let me ask you, if you're someone in tech, right? Google Cloud is like menurut perintah. Don't develop their own IP. Pfizer, all pharma company in Malaysia are sales and marketing driven. So do some background research to understand, in Malaysia, do you have that people within the company in Malaysia who can really make the decisions to commercialize your IP or to put investments? If not, you just go to the trade shows, the regional trade show like in Hong Kong, in Thailand, I think there's quite a number in Singapore. Those are where the arena where you're going to meet the real R&D guy from the regional office. Speak to them directly. So sometimes knocking the door, we have to make sure we knock the right door. We cannot say that the corporates don't want to lion us. So I think that's something that I observe as well.
Okay. We want to knock the right door. Okay, right now, if we look into the scenario research and then which door is really open. So I mean, by looking into the conference or the business trip, something symposium or something like that. Actually, which country generally open their door to Malaysian researcher to come out with the accept our innovations currently?
Well, I was a Malaysian researcher. I don't see, and I don't have a PhD to be honest with you. I don't have